I got turned on to you after Stumpjumper came out, and you said that was in 2014.
Right.
Was that like a turning point in terms of it people finding out about you?
Yeah, definitely it was definitely one of those kinds of moments because that record came out on a larger record label than I'd ever worked with before.
Mm.
It got a little more attention than other records had gotten. I was working with my friend Phil Cook, who produced the record, and we managed to sound like nothing I had done before. So it was a little bit of a turning point.
When you say you sounded different, like what was it that you felt was different about the
Oh,
production?
well, I was surrounded by, a group of musicians that I hadn't played with before,
Mhm.
which I think was really, really nice for the record because, we were able to get to spaces that I hadn't gone to on my own because I didn't know about them. And I learned a lot from sitting and playing these songs with these individuals, songs that I had just kind of finished those songs. And usually songs that I write have a period of time where they hit the road and they get played at shows and they get kicked around and they get changed in that process. And these songs, they didn't get changed. They didn't have time. So they got written and then recorded. And then after that, they got changed because, songs are never finished being written. And, you have an opportunity every time you sit down and play them to do them a different way if you want to. So the songs on the
Yeah.
record started getting, they started going through that process, but after the record was recorded and without those guys that played on the records. So live, those songs are pretty different than they were when we recorded them. And a lot of them, have fallen out of my radar now because I'm not interested in them anymore. So
Yeah, and we were talking about how you reserve the right to not trot out like the greatest hits if it's not floating your boat anymore.
yeah, well, I think that's fair. I mean, I don't know. If I'm interested in it, I keep on. There's songs that I've played for 20 years that I still enjoy playing and they're still interesting. Some of them just don't feel like there's anything left in them. I've like wrung the rag completely out and it's time to move on. And I personally appreciate that about people that I go see play. If I go see someone play and they kind of trot out the hits and I can tell that they're not into it, that's kind of disappointing because I want to see what they're into, because I like them. And, the last time, well, take Patti Smith, for example. I saw her play just a few years ago. Well, more than a few years ago now. It was the year before the pandemic. It's the last time I saw Patti Smith play. It was brilliant and wonderful, and you could tell that she's into this stuff. She's still as fascinated by it as she probably was when she wrote it, and that made me really happy. If she would have just played what we wanted to hear because we wanted to hear it, even if she didn't like it, I think that would have been a little bit depressing.
When you are writing a song, do you feel like who is it do you ever feel like this is another being, a woman, a man, a kid, like, or does it all feel like who's telling the story?
It definitely changes from song to song. Whoever the narrator in the song appears to be, and I can create that person, you know, myself, out of nowhere, that's the perspective of the song. The interesting thing about song, is if you've got something really good, you can use perspective to write another song. I've got, one, story that has given me 4 songs just because I've looked at the event from 4 different perspectives, and they came out to be all kind of relevant songs to me at the time.
Was there a topic, Charlie, that you found yourself writing about that surprised you, and what was that?
I don't know. I mean, I tend to gravitate towards things that have to do with social justice. I worked for a long time as an outreach worker for an agency that helped people who are homeless, and that got into my worldview really, really quickly and never left. And the things with my dad, he was a laborer. He couldn't read. He had a certain kind of worldview that matched that. And so writing about people who are in that position felt very natural to me. And as I've gone along, if I come up with songs that are kind of outside of that area, it always kind of surprises me a little bit. But kind of the human condition is kind of the human condition. So
when you go on tour, what do you take with you, or what will you be taking with you?
I bring a resonator guitar and a steel body resonator guitar and a 12 string. This one is gonna be a 12 string that was made for me by Fraulini Guitars from Madison, Wisconsin. But I also happen to have Spider John Kerner's 12 string, which I play a lot if I'm in the region and I don't have to travel too far with it or worry about it too much. I bring that to shows.
How are you traveling on your tour?
I have a van, and I stay in my van.
Wow.
It's little, but it's comfortable. It's got a bed. I bring along stuff to cook with, and it's a comfortable way to travel. I find a venue, do my show, make some food, go find a place to park, and go to sleep. And do it all again the next day.
Let me ask you one more question. Is there any ritual you have before you get on stage and perform that you do?
Not so much. I mean, I've got a few things that I tend to have a cup of coffee right before I get on stage. That's kind of become a ritual. It was just, an enjoyment, but now I do it all the time. But otherwise, no. I mean, just I don't like green rooms very much, so I tend not to hang out in the green room. I usually, if I'm on the road by myself, if I have records to sell, I'll just hang out in the in the merch area and just sell records and talk to people and say hello. And I'm always ready to play, so that's not an issue for me. That's where I feel
do you find that people are surprised to see just out there?
Not really. I mean, I'm not any kind of famous person, so I think it's just they come to the folk show and there's the folk guy sitting at the table selling folk records. I don't think it's that surprising. No one's said that they were surprised to see me there. Everyone's been very nice to me, so it's been good.
Well, I think there's this hierarchy of how we have, once you reach a certain level, you're supposed to behave a certain way, and I always believed it's like I'm another schmuck on the bus. It's if somebody, that's their trip. It's like we're just humans being together. But I do think that there is an expectation that sometimes people have, oh, it's like they create the scenario. I'm coming to pay to see you, so you're better than me. And I always think whenever that can be just kind of disentangled, and it's just kind of like we're creating this together.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, without the
you're,
audience, the show would mean nothing.
say it again.
Without the audience, the show would mean nothing. It would be not a show. But you know, everyone is as important as everyone else. That hierarchy is fake. You know, it's never been real. Um, and I don't know, you know, wherever I feel comfortable sitting is where I'm going to sit. If I felt more comfortable in the green room, I'd be back there. It's a personal matter for me. It's not really a matter of expectations, because I think those expectations are all fake anyway. So, you know, we make that stuff up and we choose to follow it or we choose not to. That's why it's a convention. You know, I just choose to go where I feel more comfortable. You know, to show, that's usually with the people who are going to come to the show, because I like them. They came to my show and I want to see
Mm.
them and say hi, because, you know, that's pretty special to me. And it means quite a bit to me that they would take the time to do that. So I want to go out and see who they are. But if I wasn't comfortable doing that, that would be okay too. You know, it's all the same. You know, the problem is in judging that kind of stuff. You know, that's where the problem comes in.
Well, that's beautiful, Charlie. I agree 100%. And that's also like, a lot of people there, you'll get those messages. Wow, I became an artist, a writer, a songwriter, performer because of you, and that to me is just the highest compliment.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is.
Well, thank you again and have a wonderful night and have a good practice.
I will. Well, you too. Have a good night. Have a happy Valentine's Day, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Later.
care.
Bye.